Listen up, because what I'm about to say in the next 5 seconds is going to make most of you uncomfortable as hell, and that's exactly why you need to hear it. If you still think gold is just boomer bling, a shiny rock for paranoid grandparents, or something you buy only when the world is literally ending, then congratulations. You are currently positioning yourself to get absolutely crushed in the next financial cycle. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm here to slap you awake before the regret becomes permanent. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful himself, didn't mince words last week. He didn't whisper. He warned. He said gold is not only going to surge, it's going to surge like we've never seen in modern history. And the people who laugh at that statement today are the same people who will be Googling how to afford rent after losing everything in 1836 months. You think I'm exaggerating? Good, stay triggered. Because triggered people listen harder than comfortable people ever will. Let me ask you something brutally direct. How much of your net worth is sitting in things that are quietly bleeding you dry right now? Your car that loses 20–30% the second you drive it off the lot, your overpriced apartment, your building equity, and while interest rates eat your soul, your wardrobe full of clothes you wore twice, your subscription list that costs more per month than your parents paid for their first house payment. Those aren't assets. Those are liabilities wearing designer labels. Let me make this crystal clear because most financial gurus are too scared or too sponsored to say it out loud. An asset puts money in your pocket whether you wake up, go to work, or die tomorrow. A liability takes money out of your pocket every single month like clockwork even when you're asleep. Gold, physical gold, gold ETFs, gold mining shares, when chosen correctly, is one of the very few things left on planet Earth in 2025 that behaves like a true asset during chaos. It doesn't pay you dividends like a stock, correct? It doesn't need to. Its job is not to pay you monthly income. Its job is to preserve purchasing power when every other paper promise collapses. And right now, every major signal is screaming that the paper promises are about to get tested in ways your parents never saw. Let's stop pretending. Let's look at reality without the Instagram filter. You know why your grandparents always had a little gold hidden somewhere. Not because they were crazy, because they lived through real inflation. They lived through currencies being devalued overnight. They lived through governments printing money until the math stopped making sense. You grew up in the era of endless cheap credit, 0% interest rates, and the belief that central banks can print prosperity forever. Newsflash, that era is dead. The body is still warm, but it's dead. Kevin O'Leary didn't become a billionaire by being romantic about shiny metals. He became one by being cold-blooded about where capital flows when fear replaces greed. And right now, smart capital, quiet capital, is flowing into gold at a pace we haven't seen since the 1970s inflation crisis. But here's where it gets personal and painful. I want you to think about the last time you felt financially safe, not rich, safe. When was it? For a lot of you, it was 2019, before the pandemic money printer went brar, before inflation woke up from its 40-year nap, before you watched your grocery bill double while your salary went up maybe 3%. You felt safe because the system was still pretending to be stable. Now fast forward, every month you open your banking app and the number looks bigger, but your lifestyle feels smaller. That's not progress. That's illusion. That's what happens when you hold depreciating fiat currency in a world where the supply is infinite and the demand is propped up by nothing except confidence, and confidence is cracking. Now let me tell you a short, ugly story of my own. About 8 years ago, I had a friend, let's call him Jakey. Jake was the classic stocks-only guy. Index funds, tech darlings. Gold is for suckers, tattooed on his forehead. He had a 6-figure portfolio, a nice car on finance, a condo with a view, and 0 physical assets outside of his ego. Then 2020 happened. Then 2021, 2022 inflation happened. Then the rate hikes hit like a freight train. By mid-2023, Jake was down over 40% in real purchasing power. Not on paper, on what his money could actually buy. He sold his car at a loss. He rented out his condo because he couldn't afford the mortgage anymore. He moved back in with his parents at 38. The worst part, he still refuses to buy even 1 ounce of gold. Why? Because admitting he was wrong means admitting the last decade of his financial identity was a lie. And ego is more expensive than any market crash. I tell you this not to shame Jake, but to warn you. The same voice in your head right now saying gold is stupid is the same voice that will be screaming, I should have listened, when the next leg down in fiat confidence begins. Because make no mistake, this isn't about gold going to the moon. This is about fiat going to hell, slowly at first, then all at once. And Kevin O'Leary isn't the only one ringing the alarm. When billionaires who usually stay quiet about specific assets start publicly warning about currency debasement and positioning into hard assets, you don't debate them. You position alongside them or you get left behind. So let's get very practical for a second. Forget the hype, forget the memes, forget the Lambo promises. Right now in December 2025, gold is not sexy, it's boring, it's heavy, it doesn't pay dividends. It doesn't tweet, that's exactly why it's valuable. In a world drowning in noise, the boring thing that survives chaos becomes the most valuable thing on earth. Most of you are still playing the game of higher income solves everything. It doesn't. Higher income with 0 purchasing power preservation is just a more expensive treadmill. You can make $1 million a year and still be broke if your million buys less every single month. That's the silent robbery nobody talks about on TikTok. That's the robbery gold protects you from. Now here's the part that should scare you the most. The window to accumulate real money, preserving assets without insane premiums, is closing fast. Every major central bank balance sheet is still bloated. Every major economy is still addicted to debt. Every major currency is still being debased quietly, and the people who understand monetary history, people like O'Leary, know exactly what happens next. Gold doesn't need to moon to make you rich. It just needs to hold purchasing power while everything else gets diluted. When a loaf of bread that cost $3,000 in 2019 costs $7,000 in 2025, when rent that was $2,000 is now $3,000, when your 401k looks bigger in dollars but buys 30% less real life. Gold didn't moon. The dollar died a little more, and that's the game. Most people won't see it until it's too late. They'll wait for the headlines to scream GLTO $5,000. They'll wait for their friends to start buying. They'll wait for permission from CNBC. By then, the smart money is already gone. The premiums are 20–30%. The supply is tight. The average person gets priced out. That's how wealth transfers happen, not through luck, but through preparation while everyone else is distracted. So here's the uncomfortable truth bomb for today. If you do nothing, if you keep your money in cash, in depreciating checking accounts, in over-leveraged real estate, in meme stocks, in anything that doesn't protect purchasing power, you are actively choosing to be poorer in real terms over the next 3–7 years. Not maybe, not possibly, actively choosing. And the craziest part, you already know it deep down. You feel it every time you pay for groceries. You feel it every time you get a raise that doesn't feel like one. You feel it every time you scroll past another crypto pump and think, maybe I should, but feeling it isn't enough. Action is the only currency that matters. So before I go deeper into exactly why Kevin O'Leary is screaming this warning now, before I show you the actual macro triggers that are lining up like dominoes, before I give you the cold, calculated playbook for positioning yourself on the right side of history, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, hit that like button, not because I need your validation, but because the algorithm will show this to more people who desperately need to hear it before they get financially destroyed. Second, drop a comment with one word, awake, because that's what this is, a wake-up call. Third, subscribe and turn on notifications, because part 2 is where we stop talking theory and start talking war chess strategy. This isn't entertainment, this is financial survival training, and if you're still here after this uncomfortable mirror I just held up, then maybe, just maybe, you're ready for what comes next. See you in part 2. Stay awake, stay dangerous, stay stacking. All right, you're still here. That means the slap in part 1 either woke you up or at least pissed you off enough to keep watching. Either way, good. Anger is fuel. Regret is poison. And right now, we're choosing fuel. If you missed part 1, pause this right now and go watch it, because I'm not going to rehash the basics. I'm not going to baby step you through why gold matters. You already know the system is cracking. You already feel the slow bleed in your wallet. You already heard Kevin O'Leary's warning loud and clear. Gold is about to surge in a way most people alive today have never witnessed. So let's stop talking about why and start talking about how and when, how much. Because theory without execution is just intellectual masturbation, and I didn't come here to stroke egos. I came here to arm you. First, let's get something straight. Gold is not a get-rich-quick play. If you're here looking for 10x in 6 months, close this video, go buy meme coins or whatever dopamine hit the algorithm is feeding you today. This is not that. Gold is a get-preserved play, a wealth defense play. Don't get wiped out when the music stops play. And the music is already starting to skip. Right now, December 28, 2025, the macro backdrop is lining up like snipers in the dark. Global debt to GDP ratios are at levels that historically only resolve in one of 3 ways. 1, austerity. 2, growth miracle. 3, inflation devaluation. Number 3 is winning, and it's about to accelerate. Central banks are no longer fighting inflation. They're managing it. They're trying to keep it just high enough to erode debt without causing a full revolt. That's code 4. We're going to keep printing until something breaks. What breaks first? Confidence, then purchasing power, then asset prices in real terms. Gold doesn't care about nominal prices, it cares about real purchasing power. Let me make this dead simple with numbers you can't ignore. In 1970, 1 ounce of gold bought roughly 350 loaves of bread. Today, 1 ounce of gold buys roughly 350, 400 loaves of bread. Over 55 years, gold's purchasing power stayed almost perfectly flat. The US dollar lost over 85% of its purchasing power in the same period. That's not theory, that's math. Every time a central bank adds another trillion to its balance sheet, it's quietly transferring wealth from cash holders to hard asset holders. You're either on the right side of that transfer, or you're the one getting transferred from. So let's talk positioning, real talk, no fluff. There are 4 main ways people get exposure to gold in 2025, and only 2 of them are actually intelligent right now. 1, gold ETFs allocated gold trust. 3, gold mining stocks at juniors. 4, gold futures gi leverage plays. If you're new to this or your net worth is under 500 Kai, start with Pay 1 and Pay 2 only. Physical gold is king for wealth preservation. Why? Because when trust in institutions breaks, and it will, paper claims get questioned, allocated, fully backed physical gold sitting in your safe or in a reputable vault, doesn't care about counterparty risk. You can literally hold it in your hand when the bank holiday hits. Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it costs storage and insurance. Yes, you pay a premium, but inconvenience is the price of sovereignty. If you're still thinking, but I can't spend it at Walmart, then you still don't understand the end game. The goal isn't to spend gold at Walmart. The goal is to make sure that when Walmart is asking $15 for a loaf of bread, you still have something that buys the bread. Paper dollars won't. Now let's talk size. Most financial experts will tell you 5–10% allocation to gold. That's cute. That's what you tell your wife so she doesn't freak out when you're serious about wealth defense in a devaluation cycle. The serious players go 15–30%. Kevin O'Leary himself has said publicly he's comfortable with 20 cents in hard assets, including gold. Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolio historically ran 7–5% gold. But that was during the stable era and a real breakdown. He's hinted at much higher. Point is, if you're under 10% today, you're still playing defense with training wheels. Now, for the average person watching this, someone with 50K, 500K in investable assets, here's a practical roadmap you can start today. Step 1, stop accumulating more fiat garbage. Pause new car leases. Pause unnecessary home upgrades. Pause buying the next iPhone on credit. Every dollar you don't waste is a dollar you can redirect. Step 20, build your cash war chest first. 3 6-months emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Step 3, you. Dollar cost average into gold exposure. Set up automatic purchases, $500 per month, depending on your income. Use reputable dealers for physical or low-fee ETFs. Step 4A, diversify your gold. Don't put everything in one. For an example allocation for a 100 portfolios, 40% physical gold coins, 3% physical gold bars, 20% gold ETF, 10% gold miners. This isn't sex, it's not supposed to be. Sexy is what got most people broke in 2022. Boring survives. Now let me address the biggest objection I hear every single day, that, but Grok, what if gold goes down? It will. It always does during the calm before the storm. Gold corrected 45% from 2011 to 2015 while the Fed was tapering and rates were rising. Then it tripled. The people who panicked sold at the bottom are still broke. The people who stacked during the drawdown are quietly wealthy today. Volatility is the price of admission. If you can't handle a 30–40% paper drawdown in your gold position, then you're not ready for what's coming anyway. Because when fiat confidence really cracks, the volatility in stocks, real estate, crypto, bonds, everything is going to make gold swings look like a gentle breeze. So you either build the stomach now or you get force-fed it later. One more thing before we go to part 3, timing. Everyone wants to know, when does the surge start? Answer, gold broke 2,700 in late 2024. It's flirting with 2,900, 3,000 as we speak in late 2025. The next leg higher doesn't need a black swan. It just needs continuation of current policy, more debt, more printing, more geopolitical tension, more central bank buying. When it moves from 3,000 to 1,000 of us, the mainstream will scream bubble. The same mainstream that called 2,000 a bubble in 2020, they'll be wrong again. Because this isn't speculation, this is arithmetic. Debt doesn't get paid back, it gets inflated away, and gold is the receipt. So here's your final assignment before part 3. Tonight, right after this video ends, do one thing: go to your brokerage or bank account. Look at your current gold exposure. If it's 0, buy at least 1 ounce. Even if it's just a Venti 10 fractional coin, start. If it's 5% increase it this month. If it's 10%, congratulations, you're not asleep. Now optimize. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. I don't care if your spouse thinks you're crazy. I don't care if your friends laugh. In 36 months, the ones laughing will be asking you for help. And you'll have the receipts, like this video if you're committed to stacking. Comment stacking below if you're done being a spectator. Subscribe and hit the bell. Part 3 is where we go full tactical exact vehicles. Exact dealers, exact timing, triggers, and how to avoid the most common gold scams and mistakes that wipe people out. This isn't a game anymore. This is wealth survival. See you in part 3. Don't blink. The window is closing. Stack hard. You made it. Part 3, the final piece. If you've watched the first 2, you're no longer a spectator, you're in the arena. You've felt the discomfort. You've absorbed the warning. You've started asking the hard questions about your own money. Now we stop talking and start executing. This is where most people quit. They like the idea of being prepared. They hate the work of actually doing it. If that's you, close this now. Go back to scrawling. Pretend the system will always save you. I'll still be here when you need me in 2027. If you're still reading, good. Let's get surgical. Kevin O'Leary's warning wasn't casual. He didn't say gold might do okay. He said surge like never before. That language from a man who built wealth in multiple market cycles means one thing: the asymmetry is extreme. The downside of being wrong is catastrophic. The upside of being right is generational. So let's build your playbook. No fluff, no theory, pure cold, actionable steps you can take starting tonight. First, decide your real allocation target. Not what feels comfortable, what survives chaos. Most retail investors stop at 5–10%. That's survival insurance for a mild cold. We're talking about a potential monetary heart attack. Realistic targets for serious wealth defense in late 2025, a 15% balance, 25%, aggressive 34%, yes, 40%. Sounds insane until you remember that 1979, 1980, gold went from 300 to 850 in 18 months while stocks and bonds bled. People who were 50% less in gold didn't just survive, they thrived. Your number depends on 3 things. 1, your age and time horizon. 2, your income stability. 3, your psychological tolerance for volatility. Under 35 with high income. Push toward 30%. You have time to recover from drawdowns. Over 55 fixed income, 15–20% is plenty. Don't swing for the fences with retirement capital. Once you pick your number, reverse engineer it. Example, Your total investable net worth 255%. Target gold exposure 62,500. Now break it down intelligently. Allocation blueprint 5% physical bullion sovereign control. One is Gold Eagles, Maples, Krugerrands, 10 Oz or kilo bars premium today 47% over spot, 30% allocated. Insured physical trust. This brought physical gold trust fully allocated, redeemable for physical. Perth Mint Gold if available in your region, lower fees than GLD actual metal backing. To 15% gold mining equities, GDX for stability, GDXJ for explosive upside during a bull run warning. Miners can drop 70% in corrections, only 15% max. 5% gold streaming royalty companies. Franco-Nevada, Wheaton Precious Metals, lowest risk way to get leveraged exposure to gold price without operational risk. This mix gives you physical control, liquidity, upside leverage, diversification across foreign jurisdictions, where to buy physicals, 1JM Bullion 2, APMX 3SD Bullion 4 Kiko 5, Money Metals Exchange, 6 local reputable coin shops. Rules for physical: buy from dealers with 25 years history, never buy from Craigslist, Facebook, or random Telegram groups, store and home safe or third-party vault, insure it. Keep records, serial numbers, receipts, photos, scam red flags, no premium deals, storage included free forever, dealers pushing numismatics over bullion, pressure to buy special editions. Offshore storage with no audit trail. Now, timing triggers, watch these closely in 2026. Bullish catalyst, one Fed cuts rates while inflation 4% to China announces another major gold reserve increase 3. Bryce nations launch gold-backed trade settlement system 4. Major banker sovereign debt crisis 5. Gold breaks and closes above 3,200 spot. Bearish signals 1. Aggressive Fed tightening with recession 2. Sudden deflationary shock 3. Major technical breakdown below 12,400. Most important rule, never try to time the exact top. Stack on weakness. Dollar cost average through the noise. One final mindset shift before we close. Gold is not a speculation. It is insurance against the failure of every other promise. When banks close, when ATMs run dry, when wire transfers get delayed for compliance reasons, when your brokerage account gets frozen during a systemic event, gold doesn't care. It just sits there, quiet, heavy, real. And when the panic buyers show up at your door offering 2x spot, you'll have the choice, not desperation. That's the difference between survivors and victims. You've got the warning. You've got the playbook. You've got the uncomfortable truth. The only thing left is your decision. So tonight before you sleep, do this. 1. Calculate your current real gold exposure percentage. 2. Decide your target. 3. 4. Set up auto purchase if possible. 5. Tell one person you trust about this. Spread the signal, because silence is how the transfer happens. Knowledge is how you interrupt it. Like this video if you're taking action. Comment insured below if you just committed to your first move. Subscribe and stay locked in, because the next crisis won't wait for you to be ready. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. You've been warned. You've been armed. Now go execute. Stack hard. Stay sovereign. See you on the other side.